Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. And if it's your first time watching one of my motherhood empowerment videos, then welcome. Today I wanted to talk about the, about the topic of friendship and motherhood. Now, I'm just gonna lay it out there. Just because you're both moms doesn't mean you'll make great friends. This is something that is really tricky in early motherhood, because since we all come out of the workforce and the education system, we enter the motherhood world thinking that making friends will be simple, easy. You'll just make friends with whoever you're around, right? Like you do at work. You make friends with your coworkers, maybe your boss, some people that you interact with on a daily basis, whether it be the guy that drops stuff off or the person that you work next to their desk, or just the people who you are in close proximity to, you tend to make friends with. Same thing at school. You make friends with the people who are in your classes, and the people that you have the same lunch hour with, or the same clubs, you're in the same clubs or activities as them, whatever. So when you enter stay-at-home motherhood, though, there is no cohort that regularly gets together on a consistent basis, which is facilitated by someone who designed the program, right? So what you come up against is a lot of loneliness, isolation, and this era that we live in is sort of reflective of online friendships. You are in mom groups on Facebook and perhaps other places, and you talk to women online. And then you talk to women who maybe are at the library when you go to story hour, or the playground when you take your kids to the playground. And aside from that, there can be other more intentional communities, church groups, or classes at the mosque, or scout groups, or co-ops, or your school moms, your co-moms at school and stuff. But it is a very unintentional, how do I say this? It's not an intentionally curated. It's not a curated group of people that you're interacting with all the time. So what you're coming up against is basically people that have little to nothing in common with you, aside from the fact that they have a child like you do, right? So what happens there is you may or may not have anything in common. You may or may not agree on anything. You may or may not have any kind of chemistry. You might not be compatible just as friends, So what you have now is a super isolating job in which you're not actually required to get out there and interact. And so the onus is on you to go and seek and obtain that. It can be really exhausting, and in motherhood, it's hard to be consistent all the time. Your kids are, and especially if you have more than one kid, they're always on a different developmental level. And when you take into account weather, or traveling, or people's school schedules, or whatever, it can be really difficult to maintain and foster a meaningful relationship with other women who have anything in common with you. Because first you have to find them, right? And then you have to maintain that relationship consistently. So for me personally, I want to tell you about my experience personally. That's my analysis of society and this institution of motherhood, right? But my own personal experience has been wild. I am a transplant from the West, so I don't off the bat have things in common with people here. Like, you know, I didn't go to any schools around here. I didn't grow up here, so a lot of the cultural customs are different. And yes, just because we're both in the United States, the West and the East are both in the United States, doesn't mean that there's a completely different culture over there than there is here. I'm sure you know that, but like for some people, I have to say that, like, yes, that is culture. The way that people talk to each other, the fact that like people try to avoid eye contact and stuff, that's an East Coast thing. We don't do that in the West. Like people, excuse me, at least not when I lived there. It was, people are friendly. Everybody says hi to everybody. People want you to look at them and smile and start a conversation. It's not the case here. And sometimes you can find that. Like sometimes at the playground, you'll find the random mom who doesn't mind having a conversation. But I'm almost always the one initiating conversations, and it's kind of weird. I don't know, it's sort of strange. But anyways, I'm not from the area. And we move around a lot. My husband works remote, and so we're not sort of tied to one area, and that also fuels his ambition to like move a lot and start different businesses in different cities and stuff. So I'm never in one place for more than like 2 or 3 years. And that can make it really hard to foster and maintain relationships. But not even that fact, if you sort of side skirt that, I have had a really hard time meeting moms who prioritize motherhood, but are not willing to let it take over their whole life. Like, I know how it is. I know it's hard as shit. I know, dude. It's like, I'm not saying like, oh, I have so much time for myself. No, like I have all the same, you know, challenges that most moms in my position have, right? So it's just really, it feels almost like it's not worth it for them to have friendships. Like, or they can't handle maintaining it or something. I don't know what it is exactly, because I don't ever usually get that far into a conversation to where they just ghost, and it's just like, okay, we're not there anymore. So I had a conversation with one woman who told me that she wasn't going to make plans with me, just me, like a gal's, like just a woman to woman kind of date, kind of friend date, whatever, because like the kids really like being around her. And I'm like, okay, first of all, yeah, of course they do. You are their home. Like they developed in your body, this particular person, of course. And so yeah, I'm sure they prefer being around you. Yeah. Does that mean that you should never have any kind of separation from them? No, that does not mean that. And the next thing she said was that, you know, it makes it really hard for her husband if he has to be with the kids without her. And I know, whoa. I am a very I'm a very old-fashioned gal, but doing all of the parenting and basically not allowing or not expecting your husband to do any of it while you are a step away, that is outrageous. Actually, that is insane. If you don't get breaks from your kids, how will you appreciate them? How will you get that perspective? How will you take a breath? How will you regulate your nervous system? How will you just get space? Like I feel that this kind of mindset towards motherhood is what makes people go literally insane, off the rails, doing crazy things, horrible things. And I'm not saying that this woman in particular, whatever, I'm saying like this mindset, right? This mindset of like, well, it's just easier if I'm with the kids, and it's harder for my husband to be with the kids, so I'm gonna get no space for my kids for the next 15 to 18 years. Settling and just accepting that fact. And I will never treat motherhood like a burden to live the rest of my life by, and I will never allow it to become this excuse that I make. And I also don't want my children to see me just like settling and taking subpar care of myself and blaming them. And I also not gonna rob my husband or my children of the father-child relationship, okay? Even if it's hard, because yeah, they're not around them all the time, it's still worth it. A child still needs a relationship with their father. It's very important. But also, I mean, it's just not right. Like, it's not right for me to oppress myself. And then secondly, I want to differentiate that from the next thing I'm going to say, because I deserve health regardless of whatever's going on, right? But part two to that is that like you deserve to be healthy by like on your own and not be codependent with your kids. You don't want to make them the excuse, but you also don't want them to watch you and think that, especially the girls, this is what motherhood is. Motherhood is just a thorn in your side and it never goes away, and it's really painful and you just endure it. No, hell no. Like, I definitely believe that you can have a beautiful, wonderful, balanced life with kids and with your own personal life. And I just have noticed that like when I try to cultivate relationships and friendships with other moms, it almost makes me like, okay, I need to go find some single people to be friends with, because I just feel like such an outlier. And maybe it's not the case. Let me know in the comments if you experience this, or if you have a perspective I'm not seeing. I'd love to hear it. Let's have a conversation about it. But some other examples are like me texting or calling or leaving a voice note, and like my friends telling me like, oh, you know, I've been so busy that I can't even, and I'm not judging, I'm just saying like, let's just analyze this. Let's see what's going on here, you know? Like, I'm so busy that I can't respond or I can't take a moment to myself to connect with a friend, because like, let's be real, it's not just for me. Like, a friendship is both ways. There's benefits, you know, both ways. So it's like, I can't even take a moment to respond to my friend or to connect or to have a call or something. Or, you know, I'll respond a couple weeks later with a shallow text. And it's just like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like friendships, female friendships between moms is it's not a priority. And I feel like we should make it more of a priority. We should make it more of we should normalize the fact that moms should have friends too. You know, all people need people. That's just a fact. We're social creatures. We need people to relate to differentiate from, to connect with, to support, to be supported by. We all need people. So in this modern day and age, it is all too common to be completely disconnected and detached, and it's not healthy. And so I just want to speak up for the moms out there who are extremely passionate about motherhood, but who also don't believe that they have to throw themselves on the sword in order to be a good mom. That they can have a rich personal life and a rich experience of motherhood all at once. But I have found these barriers in friendships between moms. I want to know what you all have experienced in terms of friendships with other moms or other people, and like, how much time are you able to make for your friends every week or every month? I want to know. Even every day, like, how often do you connect with your friends? Even, you know, if it's a phone call or a text or an email or whatever, I want to know. All right, that's all for today, guys. Bye.